why I wrote this book. And it really wasn't a writing of a book. I started blogging before I knew what was wrong with me. I just knew there was something wrong with me, and I was up in the middle of the night in pain, and I was waiting for my pills to work, and I just decided that I would start writing my feelings down. And for me, it was a release of the pain, where I could, if I wrote it down in the blog, then it went away. I didn't have to think about it anymore. I didn't have to be worried about it anymore. It was just out there. And it eventually became a way to even speak out anonymously, not anymore so much, but when I was doing it, because I just put it under my blog title, I Have Got What, and I got quite a following on there. There's well over 1,000 people that tune in almost every day. I usually have between 600 and 1,000 hits on my blog. People just come in just to see how I'm doing. Where my blog ends is not where it ends online. People can still go there and read about me. I wrote one just a couple of days ago because it's an evolving thing. Being diagnosed with cancer is very difficult, no matter what kind you have. And then when they attach a stigma to it, it makes it even more difficult to have a rare form of cancer. And only 5,000 people a year are diagnosed to begin with. That happens to be in an unmentionable area like your anus is very uncomfortable. And I used to always say to my husband, if we're just going to shut the room up, I'll just tell him I have anal cancer. And I mean, it just blankets. I mean, people don't want to talk about it. Unfortunately, that's why so many people are usually not diagnosed until they're stage 4 like I am. So oftentimes people are embarrassed. They don't want to go see their doctor. They don't want to tell somebody about it. They diagnose it themselves like I did. You know, I suffered from hemorrhoids for years, and it was easy for me to explain that away and just say, well, I'm bleeding and itching because my hemorrhoids are acting up. And so I ignored it. And when pain developed in my right leg, I ignored that too, and I said, oh, it's my sciatic nerve, you know, from having my children. It just hurts. I'm just going to stretch and wait. And I may have to pay with my life for waiting 3 or 4 months to go see somebody and say, hey, would you check that for me? So what I really want to do with the book is to raise awareness so that people can know about this kind of cancer and know that it can strike anybody, anywhere. I don't even have a single risk factor, and I still developed this cancer. I'm too young. I don't have HIV. I don't have HPV. My tumor didn't go out that way. I had a strange metastasis to my bone. That's not the normal way. It usually goes to your lymph nodes and you find a lump. That's how most people generally find it. So I think I've been spared for a reason. I firmly believe that I'm here for a reason, and I think it's to help raise awareness so that people are aware that this exists, and to help people that are what I consider to be shadowed by shame because they don't want to say the words. And it's not just anal cancer, it's rectal cancer, it's colon cancer, it's bladder cancer, it's cervical cancer. Those are all cancers people don't like to talk about. They feel very uncomfortable. One of my entries I talk about is that we can only hope to attain the status of breast cancer, where when people see a pink ribbon, they know exactly what that means. People are out there proudly wanting to save boobies, proudly wanting to do that. And you tell someone you have anal cancer, and the answer is always O. Sometimes followed by a K, and sometimes mostly followed by I've never heard of that. They didn't know that you can have that. And a lot of times if you say, well, Farrah Fawcett died of it, then they can kind of put a name with it. But if you think back to the time when she was diagnosed and came out about her cancer, there was shame associated with that. She did not want a lot of people to know. And as a matter of fact, didn't tell anybody until she had recurrence. Had never even shared with anybody that she had anal cancer. And she was judged by a lot of people. And in the media, there were negative stories written about her and what had she done wrong that she developed this cancer. Well, nobody does anything wrong. It happens. And it's very difficult to have what's considered a shameful type of cancer. So is just to rise above the stigma, and I decided I was going to talk and not shut up about it. And till the day I die, I'm going to be talking about the kind of cancer I have and trying to help other people do what they're supposed to do so that they don't have to die. Anal cancer, like most cancers, if it's caught in stage 1, is curable. Anytime it leaves the area, it is immediately stage 4, and they immediately tell you that they can't help you. That it's mostly what they're going to be doing for you is just palliative care, and that they're going to try to give you as much time as possible, but you waited too long and we're sorry. And I don't want people to wait too long. Not a lot of research done. People think that there's tons of research done on all kinds of cancer, but because there's only about 5,000 people a year diagnosed in the United States, to give you a little comparison, there's 350,000 women a year diagnosed with breast cancer. There are 350,000 men a year diagnosed with prostate cancer. There are 5,000 people a year total, men and women together, diagnosed with anal cancer. It's extremely rare. So there's not a lot of research dollars that go toward that, which is a little frustrating, but it is what it is, and they funnel research dollars to where they can help the most people. So the treatment hasn't changed in 20 years. There's nothing new. They're doing the same protocol today that they did to someone who had anal cancer 20 years ago. They don't allow us to get into any drug studies because I've looked into that. It's because you don't have good outcomes. So the drug companies don't want to give you the experimental. They don't want someone with anal cancer. They would prefer you have colon cancer or rectal cancer because you're going to have a better outcome. Anal cancer, people die, and then they make their numbers look bad, and then they can't get the drug approved. So a lot of times it's very difficult. You have to beg them to give it to you for compassionate use. There's not a lot of people, so it's on a case-by-case basis. But I happen to know about 12 people that have stage 4 cancer like me, and there's 6 of them that have recurred in the last year, and there's nothing more that they're just hanging out, waiting to die. So it's one of those things that I think that I can make a little bit of a difference and hopefully shed a little bit of understanding on this kind of cancer. If you'd like, I'll read a little bit from my book. And you kind of have to know that when I started writing this, there's some of these that were done on an immense amount of drugs. Some of them were written on an immense amount of narcotics. But that's the way of it, right? So some of it's a little blurry. The first